Catherine Styler, Labour MEP for Scotland, a fall in roaming charges, the costs that it takes to make calls, use the internet when you're abroad. How significant is it this time round?
I think it's really significant. I think that in terms of data, we're seeing data roaming reduced by 55%, and we know that's a growth area, and many people are using that just to simply check things and when they're at home and when they're abroad. That's one of the most significant things, and also a fall in roaming in general. But I think overall, this is important for consumer rights, and what we want to see in the future is roaming really addressed full stop, that you are charged the same when you're in the UK as if you're in France and Germany or Spain or wherever you're travelling to. But that is still some way off. What we have to acknowledge is that if it wasn't for the European Parliament and the work of MEPs to address these key consumer concerns, the telecoms industry would not have moved. There still has to be culture change within the telecoms industry. It's a step in the right direction, but more must be done to help consumers.
And you mentioned their data roaming, so using the internet, checking emails, that kind of thing. I guess that's important for us as consumers, as people going on holiday this summer, but also for businesses going abroad. On kind of both fronts, this is going to be a significant cut.
And I suppose in some ways as well, because we take that for granted now about data roaming, and the data roaming reduction is to be welcomed. And I guess when people are abroad and local businesses can market, in a way, it's a whole package of measures which can help that consumer experience and help when you're abroad, that you can, if you're searching for something, you can find it and it won't cost you that much. But there's still more to be done. This is a step in the right direction, but I think and I think that people on holiday will see that significant difference when the bills come in after a holiday, but there's more that can be done. And I think in terms of consumer rights, we do have to keep that pressure on, that this is to be wholeheartedly welcome, but there's still more to be done.
I mean, in the past we've heard these stories of people coming back from their holiday or back from a business trip and getting astronomically high bills. Is that something you're still seeing in your kind of mailbox, or is that something that has kind of declined as the prices have declined?
Well, on a more personal level, when my husband went to America, I think it was a couple of Octobers ago, you could significantly see his mobile phone bill, and he wasn't even switching it on. It was roaming was happening, and he wasn't, informed about this. I think there is differences between what was been happening in America and what was happening across the European Union, and I think we have to still address those kind of concerns about the differences. But in saying that, the telecoms industry are changing the way that they see it, and there is a greater responsibility to inform consumers, especially when abroad, and whether that's within the European Union or out with the European Union. But still, roaming is pure profits for the telecoms industry, and although there's some reduction in savings for the consumer, there's still more to be done in order that consumers can be fully satisfied and that people get a fair deal for when they're abroad and using their phone.
Ultimately, you'd like to see roaming charges scrapped altogether. Then, from what you're saying,
I think that
how realistic is that? And how many hurdles have to still be gone over to reach that?
There are still significant hurdles to go through. So the reductions are welcome, but there are still many more hurdles that we have to address, and in this new Parliament we still haven't seen what priorities. We don't know who the new Commissioner will be for consumer rights or the digital agenda, so there are many things that we have to see and be clarified. However, there are many MEPs in this Parliament that want to do the right thing by consumers. Roaming's high up there in the agenda, and we want to see fairness, and I would like to see an end to roaming altogether.
Just briefly then, to sum up of these changes that are coming in July then, so the reductions in roaming charges, what does that mean for holidaymakers, for businesses in Scotland?
I think for holidaymakers in particular, it means that they will not have astronomical bills that they had previously, and that they will see a reduction hopefully when they're using their mobile abroad. I think for businesses, when somebody is coming to Scotland to visit and using their phone in Scotland, perhaps local businesses will see more people using their businesses, especially in the data issue. With a 55% reduction, people might be able to use their internet a little bit more frequently than they did before, and I think that saving, the 55% reduction in data roaming, is a significant saving that has to be welcomed.